Hello everyone, today I will be commenting one of my favorite games of the World Championship, which is the second match between Samsung Galaxy and Team WE in the semifinals of the last World Championship. So for starters, we need to take a look at how the lane matchups will be working. Mostly, well, absolutely, bot lane is going to be dominated by Samsung Galaxy, mainly because Ruler pushes so hard with his barriers and Tarek is a melee, so he cannot walk into the wave in order to trade, and therefore Samsung Galaxy will have a push advantage and mostly absolute control of the bottom lane. Twitch cannot really contest. In the mid lane, Malzahar I really like into Galio, because even though Galio should still have priority during the laning phase and be able to do stuff around the map, the thing is that Crown Malzahar really has some kill potential onto the Galio, because he can lock him down with the ultimate and avoid him using his hero's charge to get out of any possible gank. And there's also the fact that if Crown gets a blue buff advantage, which we will see is a theme in this game, especially because they have the pushing bot lane and therefore they can try and control the enemy blue buff, Crown will have the push and WE will have Galio stuck under the turret. And lastly is there's the top lane matchup, which is not really all that relevant in this game. Rumble has to be careful not to get ganked early game because he doesn't really have any kind of escape, and this can turn the matchup, make him waste his teleport maybe and take away his playmaking once he gets his ultimate, at least a good deal of it, which is the main way in which he will get ahead this game. And Cubic will stop the 1v1 matchup once he gets the adaptive helm. It really isn't a competition anymore. So yeah, once Cubic has two items, he will have the split pressure, and Samsung will have to look to dominate the Baron pit and force WE to face check into them with the Malzahar, which is obviously super strong when you are ahead, mainly because, you know, you get laser faced into a terrible death, and there's really not much you can do about it, especially having Varus and Gragas, who are also very strong when you face check into them. WE of course has an AoE composition, so they are looking to play the 5v5s, stack con the ultimate into Galio, into the equalizer, and have Twitch behind using his Runan's Hurricane paired with his ultimate to stomp everyone. So we're seeing here the jungle pathing here. It's a bit interesting because, of course, since the most dominant lane is going to be bot lane, but characters like Varus and Caitlyn can really lose this control easily if they get ganked. Both junglers are heading bot in order to threaten a gank if you are Condi and protect if you're Ambition. So now Condi needs to figure out Ambition's path. He has a ward here, but in order to avoid some shenanigans like maybe going around this bush or whatever, he's looking to ward and spot Ambition. I don't really think this ward is very superior to warding the red buff. I think they both achieve similar purposes, because then if Ambition is clearing the cracks and doing like a weird path, you should be ahead in tempo anyway if you're Condi in order to get to gank the bottom lane, and you should have a buff advantage. So yeah, a pretty minor thing. This is really, even though it looks really bad, Condi gets to save the invade. Coach GJ is able to rotate because the Samsung very smartly shoved the wave and had the minions reach the tower, keeping Ben and Mystic from roaming, and then went maybe to place a ward, try to spot Condi, and because Condi was over invading, he gets to punish him, but not really anything major. Condi still will take his blue buff, not really something he should be very worried about. Okay, so not much else is going on here. Yeah, he still gets the Scuttle Crab, so he has some semblance of control in the river, even though there's nothing much Ambition can do to this bottom lane, but it's still nice. He spots Ambition, Ambition spots him. This is, I mean, we will watch this because it's relevant for the game, but This is just like a small, relevant but small misplay. He should have just flashed, but there's no analysis to be done there, really. He gets spotted. I wouldn't say he's greedy, but once he spots Gragas, yeah, you have to flash out of there. There's really nothing else. And now Ambition is invading, but the problem is that Malzahar doesn't have the strongest of pushes right now, and he doesn't really have mana, so he's stuck dealing with the wave, and Ambition overextends. He's also, I think he mixes the value of the camp with the value of the ward. The ward is fine. You really want to keep an eye on Condi in the early levels since he's the main facilitator for WE to get into the game, but yeah, I don't think the camp is really that valuable with having catch-up experience and the like in this patch. You really aren't doing that much to Condi, taking away his camp. Okay, yeah, replay, blah blah blah. We can see now that the Rumble gets to bully the Gnar on the early levels, but this is mainly also enabled because of the fact that Condi is constantly having Eyes of Ambition. Even if it's not always willingly, sometimes it's Ambition that forces himself onto Condi. The fact is that Rumble can trade here and not be worried about pushing too much with his Q and get punished, because he knows where Ambition is. Condi goes top, he helps Rumble shove the wave, which is very smart. Otherwise the wave can be frozen, and then again 957 is at risk of getting ganked, and the matchup snowballing a lot due to the pressure of the Helm later. So yeah, it's a nice play by Condi. Again, Samsung Galaxy just like punishing super hard this losing bot lane and getting a lot of advantage. Look at how much the turret is already damaged. This is of course very relevant because Samsung need to take this turret early and then rotate around the map, have a threat on the outer turrets in order to get control of the Baron pit later, right? So this is the main way in which Samsung are going to win this game, which is why I don't really like some of Condi's pathing choices. Like for example, I think now after taking his red, I don't really remember this, but after taking his red, yeah, he's heading top lane for a gank that really isn't a good idea, because as we've discussed, not only is this bot lane the pressure point and win condition for Samsung Galaxy, it also gives access to the blue buff that can swing the mid lane matchup very easily. Yeah, Condi's here. Before it was a good call, but now even if they kill Cube, which they won't because it's Gnar, right? They will get flash at the most, since Rumble is not the best enabler of ganks. But even if they kill Cube, there's not a lot of pressure Rumble can bring later in the match. It's more about the TP really. And yeah, I would have rather have Condi come here and protect the blue buff or try to gank the Malzahar to gain more mid lane pressure and enable roaming from Galio. I think that is far more important because it has an implied threat on the bottom lane, right? If the Galio is able to walk into the fog of war first, Samsung Galaxy cannot play this matchup as aggressively as they are right now, because Crown will not be able to use his puke phase to stop the Galio from ulting, and therefore they can get really punished. So yeah, Condi's not here, he had to base, now Ambition can't come in, try to zone them, again threaten this blue buff. There's nothing the Galio can do right now because Crown has his blue buff and Galio does not. So yeah, they take the second blue buff, they zone them away. This is an easy turret for Samsung Galaxy. And now it comes the moment to choose whether to swap the bot lane or not. The thing is that because this is a mountain dragon, this is a super relevant dragon for Samsung Galaxy to take. Mainly because they don't really have the best Baron damage. I mean, it's fine, it's not terrible, but they would really like to have a faster Baron, especially because since this is WE has an all-in composition, 2 seconds can really be the difference between taking the Baron and winning the game or getting steamrolled and losing, right? It's not like a poking composition that really they will not make as much difference. Giving those 2, 3, maybe 5 extra seconds for WE to set up their engage, it's everything. It's all the difference in a lot of engages. So that's why I wouldn't like Samsung Galaxy swapping top here. I think they can still control the bottom wave, shove it and get the dragon and then swap. Because the only thing they should be worried about is perhaps if WE chooses to swap top and try to clear the wave bot lane with the equalizer. But that isn't really a threat, because if Samsung Galaxy take the second turret and the dragon, they get ahead of WE. Even though they can, Samsung Galaxy can really make use of the Herald later because they are ahead and they have strong pushes. WE doesn't really have a way to threaten any of Samsung's turret, like mainly due to lane pressure, because Rumble has no pressure, Mystic definitely has no pressure, and it's not like Galio is the best of pushers. So in order to enable this Herald, they would need to take a pick. The problem is that WE do not have the best picking composition either. They are mainly weak in the 2v2, 3v3. You can discuss the 4v4. It depends who is fighting, but generally, because Samsung Galaxy have that much disengage in the form of Janna and Varus and Gragas, you don't really, it's very hard for WE to force small skirmishes. Again, Condis here, checking the beautiful countryside, not really doing much. The main pressure is again all in the bot lane, especially around this Mountain Drake. And here Samsung gets, if I were Samsung in this position and I could choose, I would take Mountain Drake over this turret, because you will have the split pressure later from Cube. This turret is already mostly dead anyway, since Cube will stomp 957 in the 1v1. But there's also the fact that this turret isn't really protecting anything. The gold is very nice to have, but you don't gain additional map control because of taking this turret, barely any, right? But in the other hand, you're facing a Rumble, you're facing a Rumble that's basing right now. I mean, they don't really know he based, but Rumble really has quite a strong power spike right now, even if it doesn't look like it, because none of the items are finished. He just reached level 9, so his flamethrower really hurts. And they don't have the oh, sorry, wait a second, I have to fix this, just a moment. Okay, this is better, right? Now it's working. Okay, so the main problem here is the fact that Rumble is level 9, he has a lot of damage, and Ruler doesn't have his Ginso power spike, right? So he isn't really that strong in a fight. So they get engaged, they are overvaluing the turret, and they get decimated. Samsung gets very close to turning the fight, but they don't. Cube is just about to transform when he dies, but he doesn't transform. Samsung are playing around weak power spikes that are not really, I mean, they have a power spike disadvantage, sorry, that's what I meant. And yeah, they get smacked for it because they overextend just a little, but conceptually it was not a good decision anyway, because that turret isn't really that valuable. So yeah, of course the Rumble Q doing a lot of damage, like he completely melts the Janna. It's a bit nasty. Nicey by Ambition. I'm sorry, man, it was very good, but not enough. And Samsung does the swap now, which again, I disagree, because the Mountain Drake is up, but there's also the blue buff that's coming up, right? The situation is exactly the same, but the blue buff is coming up, so both side is even more valuable right now. You are not really in a hurry. You have until maybe minute 25 or minute 20. I think you can wait to take all the other turrets. So yeah, I mean, you're a bit rushed, but this Drake is super valuable, especially taking it will make the power spike from Samsung even stronger later with when the Ginso and the Ardent and Janna is complete. Sorry. Okay, so yeah, Cube has no way of contesting this blue. This is like an easy blue for WE, and yeah, the game just kind of slows down right now because Samsung Galaxy should be able to apply this pressure, but because they had the blue buff advantage before when they were zoning people away from the turret, but now they don't. The push is too strong from Sia and the game kinda slows down. So yeah, I think this speaks volumes to the questionable lane swap by Samsung, which I mean it's not like it's a terrible decision or anything, right? They of course they are playing to their win condition, they are exerting a lot of threat on the turret, but it just isn't enough. This engage, I cannot fault WE for the idea because the idea is super good. They have a numbers advantage with the Shia priority, and they really need to get Ruler behind in order to win this game and make it that much harder for Samsung, who already don't have the best of Barons, to take it. So the idea is great. The engage is a bit of an overextension, but really if this team wasn't Samsung Galaxy with their super strong spacing and positioning, and Ruler who really had a great playoffs, yeah, this play would almost certainly work against any other team in the world, so you cannot fault that. Even in concept, they come out behind because they do not have as good a read on the positioning as Samsung does. And 957, this is a bad play. Really poor play by 957. We will check it out now because I think we have the replay, right, of the engage and all the kills, but I don't really fault the engage. I fault this guy here. This guy here is making a very bad decision. He gets not shoved in, but he sees Mega Gnar get into the jungle. He spots him here, even if there was any kind of doubt of what Gnar is doing. He's mid lane, but yeah, no. He just walks around kinda lost, and he ends up creating a lot of unnecessary damage on the mid lane turret. Look at this turret now, it's about to fall, but this is mostly 957's fault, and this turret is super crucial for the win condition of both compositions, really, because clearing as Galio the mid lane is not as safe as I explained because of the Malzahar matchup and the implied risk of the barfing in your face laser from the space. And there's also the fact that it makes them lose the strong foothold here to contest Baron Vision, right? So yeah, that's not good. Let's take this play needs a closer look. This is a very strong play by Samsung Galaxy, super smart play, and heavy overextension by WE as well. But let's take a look at this. Okay, slow speed, chill. Okay, Samsung Galaxy are building a push in the top lane. They have finally the Ginso power spike with Janna, E, Ardent Sensor, all the goodies, right? Ruler is a huge threat to turrets, like huge threat. But Samsung have learned from the earlier experience, right? Getting smacked in the bottom lane. So because of that, they shove the mid lane first. They don't really shove this lane because they want to send creeps against the tower and fish for information, right? They do not have vision of the enemy team, and they really want to know where the hell is everyone, because they do not want to get engaged again, and because they are blind, Gragas and Malzahar position in the jungle in such a way that if Jarvan was looking for some kind of flank, he would get, again, barf in the face, or Ambition would use his ultimate, and likely Condi, who we know is in the Dragon Bar, but Samsung know nothing about his positioning, would likely just feed, right? Because Jarvan is not the strongest tank when it comes to avoid getting bursted down. So again, Samsung Galaxy prepared the push here, and WE can either choose to counter push, which is a crap idea because they do not have the Ginso power spike, so they are going to lose, and they do not have the Eye of the Herald, so yeah, don't do that, WE. The second one would have been matching lanes to the push, but it's too late because they are overextended. really overextended. And the third one would be looking for an engage, but because Jarvan cannot position easily because of the implied threat of the Malzahar, and also the fact that they have this huge array of kiting tools, it's really hard for either Rumble or Jarvan to set up a proper Galio ultimate here against Samsung's team. They have flashes to cross through the jungle, and they have TP up from Cube. Even if they were to get a good engage onto Samsung, the WE that is, they would still be facing a push in the mid lane with Crown, with Rift Herald, and with the TP from Cube. So at best, they maybe can get 3 kills for 2 turrets, which is not a good trade, especially because these turrets, like the top lane turrets and the mid lane turrets, are the foothold to the Nashor, which is the main win condition of Samsung Galaxy. So if they lose these turrets, they will lose control of the jungle, and they will have to face check into Malzahar and Gragas and Varus, which we already explained is a very bad situation. So now Samsung Galaxy know WE is at the Dragon. They spot here 957, who can't really defend because of the position of the Malzahar. If 957 or any just one guy was here defending, Malzahar can come flanking. He also has his flash up, and they can just force a dive with Ambition and Malzahar, take the turret, get a numbers advantage, activate the Herald, and rotate mid lane, and they will really have a very big threat on 2 turrets because of the fact that Ruler pushes so fast, and also the fact that this turret is almost dead anyway, right? So yeah, this is done. Bye bye. This turret is dead, and now WE have a bit of a shot calling choke, right? They don't really know what to do. They are counter pushing, but they're facing Ruler. They do not have control of the mid lane. Samsung can rotate wherever they want. They lose this turret, and now the Herald is activated. They realize they are under huge threat, and still they don't know what to do. They don't know if they are able to rotate, if they can stay, if they should be pushing and maybe try to make the best of a bad situation, if they can defend. So they defend the turret, and they think Samsung Galaxy has backed, right? So now is their chance to push and equalize the goal advantage. But Samsung Galaxy has not backed yet. They spot Twitch on the bot lane, and they are like, okay, thank you very much. This is just great League of Legends from Samsung Galaxy, like super solid. Even the worst scenarios are not really bad for them in the play they were making, and they really, like, they danced around their opponents, right? There's like no risk in this whole scenario, and a huge reward because Samsung Galaxy was not properly positioned to react to the strength of Varus's push here. So yeah, this should pretty much, at this point, this is pretty much game. Yeah, get your turret, man, but this is not bringing you back. This is really tough because, again, there's the threat of Cube, he will complete now the adaptative helm, most likely, and he will just shove this non-stop. They can really control the waves because they are that much stronger than WE, and it becomes very hard for WE to force an engage because they really do not have a way to get a proper teleport flank, and even then Rumble is not the strongest of flankers. Samsung can just turn into him and kill him. So yeah, this is a super dire situation for Samsung, not for Samsung, sorry, for WE. Yeah, see, they don't really, they have no way of contesting the push. Ruler is just so strong at this point in the game. He's a huge monster. Yeah, blah blah blah, pushing mid lane. As a team, always. They are super nice moving through the map. Samsung Galaxy, it's great to watch because they know exactly when they have to be together to avoid the risk, and when they can like split and move through the jungle, Malzahar on his own and all that jazz. So really cool to watch this amount of coordination. And now this is super cheeky by Condi and super good. He overall, even though I criticized his pathing earlier, he played a great game of Jarvan because he knows they are going to lose absolutely. This is what a nasty 1v1 to watch right now. The helmet is complete, it's not even close. Easy turret for Cube anyway. Okay, this is beautiful. Because he knows they are going to lose control here and he really has to engage, he plants a pink ward and just waits in the bush. Like he just waits there and stays around, and he does... Okay, since Condi is so relevant for WE, because the Baron naturally is the win condition for Samsung Galaxy, and if Condi dies, they can just rush the Baron. They really are not expecting Condi to be here. This is super risky for him to do, and therefore Samsung Galaxy is not aware of it. They position really in a very risky way, of course, if you know that Condi is here, and he gets a beautiful, creative, and well thought out engage in which they threat Ruler. This equalizer is beautiful because it zones away Crown and Cuba. And yeah, they get 2 kills, which might have kept them in the game a bit longer, but I really have to question again 957 choice of going to get this wave. I really think that with 3 trinkets up and a pink ward, which I don't know which one Ben placed, but maybe it is upgradable, they could have contested Samsung's vision, mainly this pink here and this pink here, and yeah, sort of reset the map wave wise and a little bit vision wise, and accelerate the Twitch, because really you are not winning this game on the back of 957. I'm sorry, you're just not. He's not strong enough, nor does he have strong enough scaling. You need to feed the Twitch, and to feed the Twitch you need time. You need quite a lot of time for him to be able to sit on the back and get like a crazy ultimate. Yeah, so cheeky. They have this word, but whatever, right? Condi has to have combo through here. Yeah, get wrecked. Really nice by Condi. Really, really nice and ballsy. Just the kind of play that makes this game so great to watch. So again, yeah, they are trying to respond to Cube with the Galio, because they 957 cannot really face Cube, but neither can Galio, since his main damage ability also ticks and he's not really strong enough to contest a Gnar anyway. So yeah, Samsung, well, since the vision was already sort of reset around here, but not really, and they were losing the control anyway, and this dragon is like super valuable. Infernal is, I don't think it's as good as Mountain for the composition, but it's really, really nice, because it gives them a lot of extra time and that extra Baron threat and peak threat with the Malzahar, which are their 2 main win conditions. So yeah, very absolutely worth it for Samsung, and just free, so why not? And again, Condi, what a great play. He has again, okay, he has a pink ward in the river, and he not in the river, sorry, in the top tri-brush, and he has a pink ward in the pit. So he, fucking hell, man. He goes around into Samsung's blue buff, again being the most relevant player for WE. He goes into the blue buff, and Samsung do not expect him to be here, because of course if he gets caught, he dies. WE have no smite, WE have no way to enable the Galio, because we discussed that Rumble doesn't really have a way to flank, so there's no threat for Samsung Galaxy if Condi is dead. Therefore, because Condi is positioning in such an aggressive way, for how important he is, Samsung Galaxy are not expecting his engages, and he's getting huge engage after huge engage. This is my favorite in the whole game, because not only does he catch Crown, but he also avoids giving Ruler a way to kite into his team, right? This wall is keeping Ruler in the river and mostly exposed. Since Ruler is the main damage dealer, this is quote-unquote a 3-man ult in reality, because it exposes Ruler so much to the threat of being killed here. Great engage, Galio ultimate, and now Ruler is going to use a very smart ultimate onto Bang. Even though Bang is alone here, this ultimate is huge, because everyone is going to be fighting in this tight spot, and therefore Ben's stun is super easy to land, and also the fact that he can reset the teamfight and give immunity to Twitch can really be enough to win this teamfight. WE at this point in time, they are in a decent spot, very decent spot to win the teamfight, especially considering how behind they are. But first thing, this equalizer is pretty poor. Ruler can now run away and get into the brush and sort of hide because the equalizer is not zoning him from the brush, and Crown is not caught by the equalizer. So really poor equalizer by 957. And Mystic just goes for it here, which I think it's reasonable to do. Very risky, but there's just no other way to win this teamfight. It's either Mystic gets cheeky and tries to make like a huge play, or he's dead. And everyone is dead, and the teamfight is gone, because the fabulous engage was not followed up because Mystic was not close enough, and this equalizer was very poor. Even though the place for the equalizer is absolutely great, merit to Condi for getting this fantastic engage. So yeah, he gets suppressed, Ben's ultimate is not really all that useful, he dies, and now there is no damage just for WE. So they lose the teamfight, and they lose the game with it. Because once Samsung have Nashor, it's really hard for them to come back and avoid the split pressure. QB already had a lot of that, and he's getting more now with a buffed up minion, so not really a... Okay, no. Let's watch this at decent speed. This fight deserves a decent speed watch again. Just huge ultimate here, great from Ruler, very big Janna ultimate by Core JJ, also a lot of value, keeping Crown healthy enough for him not to be able to be bursted down while he ults Mystic. And yeah, just absolute dominance from there on out by Samsung Galaxy on the teamfight. And the game is pretty much done at this time. I don't really want to say it's lost, but it is lost. There's very little to be done. Again, merit to Samsung Galaxy for their lane assignments. Sending Cubic here is smart because of subtlety. Not only does this inhibitor, of course, enable to take Nashor again if anything were to happen, but there's also the fact that if QB is looking to collapse, not collapse, but join his team through here, it's harder for him to get caught, because if if WE were to get out here and try to catch Cube, he can just run down into the jungle. Whereas in this spot, if he was pushing the top lane, that would be much harder because the wall is solid and he has to get into this place, which really is quite a bad spot for Samsung Galaxy to try to fight anyway because of the AoE composition from WE. So pushing bot lane is a smart choice here for Samsung. It's still close enough for him to rotate, right? If Samsung again had their 4-man on the top lane, it would be much slower for Cubit to join the fight in case engage happen. And an engage will happen because there is no other way in which WE can come back, so they have to try, right? Yeah, notice how Condi is here, zoning away, but if Condi were to try and catch Gnar, he can just run to the jungle and be safe. Huge, perfect engage mostly from WE. 3-man Rumble ultimate, the works, right? The Cataclysm, the Hero's Entrance, but just not enough. They have summoners up, Samsung Galaxy that is, they can flash out, they can heal everyone and just stomp because they have a 10k gold lead. So yeah, that was Samsung Galaxy versus WE Game 1.